Welcome, I'm Cathy Pickar, host of Somerset Stories, where we're preserving digital windows into our community for current and future generations. Today we're talking about the Somerset Pool, which was completed in about 1971, about 70 years after the town was founded. And it's one of the most valuable assets in our town, as you might imagine. And it's valuable not only because of its property, but it's valuable because at least 5 months out of the year, it really is a center for our community. So it's real important that we have good people working with and overseeing our pool to protect our asset. And that brings us to the guests for the first part of our show today. We have Matthew Zaft, Somerset resident and Executive Director of Morgan Stanley Wealth Management in downtown DC. And we also have Hayden Bitz, who is a rising sophomore at BCC and also a Somerset resident who has grown up spending a lot of time at our pool. Welcome, Matthew, and welcome, Hayden.
Thank you.
You know, I want to begin with you, Matthew. As a member of the pool committee many years ago, I feel for you. I remember that it was a tough committee to be on. It seemed that everything we talked about was controversial, plus we had a huge responsibility for this asset. And I wasn't particularly, I didn't grow up around pools, so for me I felt a little out of the water, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But what attracted you? Are you a pool person? How did you become the chair of the pool committee?
Well, I will say I'm definitely a pool person. My mom likes to joke I could swim before I could walk.
Oh, I understand that.
And I grew up in Massachusetts, but being on a swim team from the time I was 4 years old, and just always being either at a pool or at a lake or just in the ocean, it didn't matter. It was always something about water. And that was part of what attracted us to come to Somerset, was both the school and the pool. And so I immediately spent basically all of those 5 months at the pool. And when the then chair at the time, Alexis Carmer, asked me to join the committee, I said absolutely, because I felt it was sort of our responsibility to, have a say in making sure that things are run the right way, and that, this is preserved, and that, that there's a real responsibility taken by those of us who truly care about it. And she also enticed me to get on the committee by saying I could possibly bring back morning swim, or what we call early bird swim, which I was all for, because if I got to swim laps in the morning, that was a wonderful thing. Beats the elliptical every day of the week. And
that's great. What time is morning swim, and when is morning swim in our pool?
So morning swim is 7:15 to 8:15 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Wow. Yeah. And do people pay to be part of the morning swim? How does that work? Because I know you have to pay for a lifeguard, right?
Right. And so the way it works is you have two options. You can either pay $100, which is nothing, for the entire time. And so you've got it, $100 covers every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Or if you don't want to commit to the whole summer, you can drop in for $5 a time. Wow. And then in addition, you can bring a guest. You get charged the pool guest fee. Yep, absolutely. We've had plenty of people bring guests, and
oh, nice.
It is. It's really nice. My sister was in town one time, and she came.
Oh, that's great. Yep. I want to say that I know that being the chair of a pool committee can be a thankless job, and I want to thank you.
Well, thank you.
Because you do a great job.
I appreciate you saying that.
So, Hayden, tell me a little bit about you. And as a little boy, I remember you at the pool. In fact, I have to tell the viewers I was surprised today when you walked in and you were grown up. What do you like about the pool?
I like to go to the pool because it's a nice source of exercise. It's very relaxing. I can go there with friends and play in the pool. We can play ball. Sometimes during the school year, when the pool opens up early, I like to go there and do my homework.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's interesting. Good. Well, that's a good use of the pool. That's a new one. Do your homework at the pool. That's pretty terrific. What kind of games or ball did you, when you were little, what did you play at the pool? What did you guys do?
Well, when I was younger, the pool actually had a basketball hoop.
Oh.
And I want to say a few years ago, during the pool construction, they removed the basketball hoop because it got destroyed.
Yes.
And we also would like to roughhouse in the pool.
Yeah.
Of course, our parents didn't really like it, but we'd like to play around with the older kids on the team.
Right. That's an important part. I want to add that not only do you visit the pool a lot, but you're part of the swim team. And in the second half of this show, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the swim team. Is the basketball hoop still there?
No.
Was that the one that was in the parking lot all those years, or was it inside the pool?
So there were two in the parking lot, and then there was one on the edge of the pool for pool
Oh.
basketball. And then one of the ones during the construction that was in the parking lot was removed. Mm-hmm. So now there's only one.
Oh, okay. What would you like to change about the pool? Is there anything that you would maybe offer some constructive advice on? What would you like to see different at the pool?
Well, as I said earlier, I think we should reintroduce a basketball hoop, a pool basketball hoop to the pool.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to hope that the council is watching this show, right?
Now, I will say
Yes.
we actually have discussed that at a recent pool committee meeting.
Yes.
And whereas the committee was in favor of bringing back the basketball hoop,
Yes.
the lifeguards and pool management company were against it for safety concerns
Ah.
because of the roughhousing.
Oh, well, we'll have to think about that one,
Right.
right? And see if there's a way to do it. Maybe basketball 15 minutes, everybody out. But now it's basketball and adult swim or something like that. The town invested in a new pool house. Matthew, did you already live here when we did the pool house renovation?
No, and in fact, we basically moved in right as it was finished, like the first season of the new one.
Okay,
And
so you don't remember the old one.
No, we've got the benefit of just the beautiful
Yeah.
new one.
Hayden, do you remember the old one?
Yeah.
That was controversial when we were having to renovate the pool house. You talk about controversy in the town. That one was up there. But one of the reasons was, on the women's side, the structure was supported by a temporary beam. It was collapsing, and there was a temporary beam supporting it underneath. And at the pool inspections for the safety, the county safety folks come in and said, we cannot approve this opening of the pool for next year because it's not safe. So we were going to have to close the pool house, which means you close the pool. Well, that eliminated some of the controversy. And do you think the new structure serves the needs well?
I do.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you? Do you remember that? As one who used to do concessions for the swim team, we didn't have a kitchen. I think that's a tremendous asset.
Yeah.
And then having that shelter area is important. We used to, when the pool would close or there would be lightning or something, you'd get 200 people trying to cram into that old pool house, and it was not safe. So you had to send the kids home in a storm. So having just the shelter is certainly a nice thing. Before the pool was built in 1971, what do you think kids did in the summer? It was hot. Any thoughts? What do you think they did? Hayden, what would you have done in the summer if you didn't have a pool?
I probably would have tried to find a friend's pool to
Yeah.
hang out at.
Interesting that you say that, because I was looking into some of the history of what kids did in Somerset in the summer. You know what they did? They would go to Little Falls Creek, where the pool is, and they would play in the creek, which we wouldn't do now.
Yeah.
But someday I hope we can do it again, because there's sort of the movement to clean up the creeks. But they spent a lot of time cooling off in the creek, in the area where the pool now is. So, of all the committees, of all the issues that the pool committee faces, what are some of the big ones that are coming up, do you think?
Coming up You know, hopefully none. But
Yeah,
I always
right.
joke but that's never the case. I mean, one of the issues that we always have, which is a big deal and very divided, is guest fees. We have an extremely low guest fee rate. And
Right, which is what?
only $4 per guest.
Okay.
Whereas the average pool in the area is closer to $10 per guest. And the actual cost per person to run the pool is about $11 to $12 per person.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Interesting.
And, you know, so it's one of these things where the town is clearly subsidizing all of us as residents because none of us as residents pay to join the pool. I mean, we get free use of the pool as a resident purely from our tax dollars, which is, I think, amazing. But in addition, the town is subsidizing residents bringing guests. And so this is something that we've had a lot of issues with as far as trying to maybe bring the guest fee more in line with, you know, less subsidization from the town and more with, you know, areas, but that is always highly controversial.
I bet. I can only imagine that's controversial. What about the physical structure of the pool? I know, well, the pool house we've taken care of, hopefully, for another 50 years.
Right. The pool itself, it seems to be in great shape, and, you know, knock on wood. Basically, we hope that the pipes are good. The unfortunate things about the way the pipes work is you don't know until they don't work, and you only know it when they break. And so you got to hope that they're good, and then, you know, plan for the worst case. Other than that, you know, we did a bunch of renovation to the exterior of the pool itself, the coping stones, and it looks beautiful.
Oh, nice.
My one hope, and this is actually something we're going to be addressing at our next pool committee meeting, is I would like to change the way the pedestrian walkway is right now when you walk into the pool.
Right.
Because right now when you walk from Warwick to the pool, the sidewalk, or not sidewalk, I'm sorry, the pedestrian walkway is literally directly behind parked cars.
Yes,
And
yes.
it is dangerous. And I would like to try to divert it so that instead of being in the parking lot, it actually goes into a grassy area and then lets out behind the cars in the area where they're not immediately pulling out of their parking spaces.
That sounds like a wise move. I was on the council when we were redoing the pool house, and how to walk pedestrians through that parking lot was always a big issue.
Yeah.
And now that you're using it more with the new pool house, I'm sure you can see better how to make it safer. You know, one thing that was interesting is the pool filtration system. Do you have any idea how the chlorinated water was discharged, Hayden, when you were growing up?
No.
Well, we used to put chlorinated water pumped when they would drain the pool at a high pressure right into Little Falls. Now that killed a lot of little crickets, you know. But now Matthew, you could tell us about it.
It is one of the best state-of-the-art filtration systems out there. It is amazing, and so there's basically no pollution. I mean,
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. It's phenomenal, and it's necessary, and it's also the right thing to do.
It is necessary. What happens is the water goes into a tank, and then the chlorine evaporates from the tank, and then it can be slowly discharged. Is that correct, Matthew?
That is, and also not at a high pressure, which is
right.
Another
Not
key
at
thing.
a high pressure, absolutely. I would enjoy talking to both of you for much longer. And I hope maybe you'll come back and join us on the show, and we'll talk more about the pool. I want to hear more ideas from you, Hayden, as well. Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Hayden, for joining us on Somerset Stories. And I want to tell everybody, we'll be right back because we're going to talk a little bit more about the swim team in the second part of the show. Thank you.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well,
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to Somerset Stories, where we're talking about the Somerset Pool. During this part of our show, we're going to talk about one of the big activities at the pool, which is the Somerset Swim Team. Our guests today are Bess Pickar, who is the head coach of the Somerset Swim Team and is also a 4th grade teacher at Somerset Elementary, and she also grew up in Somerset. Full disclosure, Bess is my daughter. And joining her is Olivia Zaft, who is a rising 6th grader, going to be a middle schooler at Westland Middle School, and Olivia is also a member of the Somerset Swim Team. Welcome, Olivia, and welcome, Bess. Bess, I want to begin with you. How long have you been the head coach? And tell everybody when you started on the swim team.
So I started swimming, we're actually a little unclear, but I think it was either 1994 or 1995. My first ribbon is from 1995, so that's usually the date that I go with.
What grade were you in? Your mother should know, but I don't remember.
So I would have been 7, so second grade.
Second grade, okay. That
think.
sounds right.
I started coaching as a mini coach in 2001, and then I did that until 2006, where I became a junior coach, and then after that an assistant coach, assistant head coach. I took 1 summer off in 2011 to get my master's, and then have been the head coach for the past 7 years.
What is it about the team, Bess, that, I can tell you that when you first started the team, we were stuck. You were going to be on that team. No summer camp, no this, no that. It was all swim team. What was it about the team that so attracted you?
Well, it was kind of like a built-in camp. You didn't really need camp because you had the swim team, and we would go to morning practices, and then you would go to afternoon practice, and then in between practices, you just stayed at the pool because a lot of our coaches or older team members were also lifeguards, so a little bit of built-in babysitting. But none of the older kids ever shunned the little kids. We were always welcome and accepted, and they wanted us to hang out mostly because I think we cleaned the pool for them and did their jobs. But it just built a great sense of community in a town where after elementary school, a lot of the kids don't typically go to the same school anymore.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. I remember with your sister, who came along later, we truly did create a camp, I think, at that point, because they would do morning swim. Yep. Then some of the mothers and I hired a tennis coach who, in between morning swim and afternoon swim, would teach them tennis lessons. And then as a little group, they would kind of wander around and have lunch at different houses. And before you knew it, it was 5 o'clock and Camp Somerset was over. So Olivia, how old were you when you joined the swim team?
I think I was about 8.
So about the same as Bess, similar time. What is it that attracts you to the team? You've stayed on it, obviously, for quite a while.
Well, I mean, I do swimming year-round, and I really love swimming, so, I mean, it's
Oh.
also a time to get with, like, friends that I haven't been with in the year.
Oh, that sounds terrific. I want to show you all a picture of, we'll be putting these pictures up, and folks will see it while we're talking. But I think in particular, I love this photo. And the reason I like it, this is what I remember as a parent about the team. There was such a connection between the little kids and the older kids. And I don't remember that in many other activities that were affiliated with the town, where there was such a vast range in age and everybody looked after everybody else. That was quite special. What is it that's hard about the swim team? If you're swimming year-round, so you may not find it as challenging maybe as some others do, but what is it about the swim team that's a little hard?
Well, I mean, for example, like, my friend, like, she doesn't do swimming year-round, and, like, right when you start swimming again, it's kind of, like, hard because you haven't done it for so long. Like, you still have to, like, get back into the whole motion of swimming every day.
Every day. And for how long? I mean,
An hour.
an hour. Do they make you just build up endurance at the pool? Does Coach Bess, does she just stand there and say, keep swimming, keep swimming, keep swimming?
We definitely, like, get breaks and all, and we'll do, like, drills or just, like, a 50 kick.
What's a 50 kick?
Just of, like, kicking of one stroke, or we'll do, like, a thing like an IM, which is butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle, but we'll do all of it kick, and then, like, that's usually, like, an easier, or, like, to help us with our kick.
To help you with your kick, and I can only imagine, and I bet your endurance is pretty good from all the swimming you're doing and doing it year round. Do you enjoy being around the older kids with the team?
Yes.
Or now you're becoming an older kid. Do you enjoy being around the little kids?
Yes.
Do you ever see the little kids get scared, or when they're...
I mean, not usually. I just remember being, like, a little kid being scared.
Were you scared? Bess, what do you do as coach? Do you see that kids get scared before they start to swim?
Not usually at our pool, but when we go to other pools, the biggest fear is that the other team's pool is longer than ours. So we have to have them just try and hop in when we're warming up and say, you can make it across the pool, and it's no different, even though they often don't believe us. But that is the biggest fear, is that we go to a different pool and they are 100% convinced it's longer than our 25 meters.
Oh, that's very funny. That's very funny. I want to talk a little bit about Captain Purple. You know, I was talking to the first swim team. Let's look at the history a little bit. In Somerset, the pool, I think, was open in about 1971. The first swim team was 1975, and all they did that first year was swim B meets with local pools or country clubs. They were not affiliated with the Montgomery County Swim League until the following year. But that was the year that they chose the color of purple, and they became the Dolphins. And not long after, their coach, who is also, by the way, now does live in Somerset, Dan Hirsch, who lives on Dorset Avenue, was one of the first coaches. They came up with Captain Purple. Who is Captain Purple? And I want to show those who are viewing, we have a picture here of Captain Purple. I must say that mask is a little daunting, but we don't know who it is. Do you always know who is sneaking into that Captain Purple uniform?
I will say some people on the team try to be sneaky and, like, sneak into the locker rooms and try to see beforehand or afterhand. And some people, if, like, the mask is on wrong, can sort of tell, or just by, like, the height, you can sort of tell. But usually, like, the idea is not to try to figure it out. It's more just to have fun with the cheer.
Good for you. The cheer. What is is there a Captain Purple cheer?
I mean, it's not really a cheer. We just, like, cheer for Captain Purple. Like, we go, like, we want Captain Purple.
And then does Captain Purple run out of the pool house and fly into...
Yes.
Does Captain Purple talk?
No.
Well, it would be hard to talk with this mask on. I guess he would sound a little bit muffled. And then does Captain Purple... So he doesn't lead the cheers. He just kind of hangs out and...
So he's part of a cheer. So usually right before our meet starts, they chant, as Olivia said, we want Captain Purple. Captain Purple runs around the pool, jumps off a diving board or a lifeguard stand. But before they do, they have to spell Somerset so that it faces the swimmers, which
What do you mean spell Somerset?
kind of like doing the YMCA dance
You mean with their...
with their arms. Yeah,
Oh, my. And they have to do that backwards?
backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, I would think Captain Purple has to practice a little bit for that. Doesn't he or she?
We would like Captain Purple to practice. I don't know how much practice has happened over the past couple of years, but it's one of the more challenging aspects of their job to spell it backwards.
I would think so. Bess, tell me about the ages of those on the swim team. I mean, you're coaching so many different ages. How does that work?
So on the what we call the big team right now, our youngest swimmer is 5 and our oldest is 18. And then on our mini team, which is our developmental team, we have swimmers from ages 4 to 7. And we this year had 139 on the big team and about
139.
Yeah.
That's a nice size team.
It's very large. And our mini team had about 25 to 30.
Wow. So that takes a lot of oversight,
Yes.
I would think. What do the minis do?
So the minis are coached by our older kids. They have to be 14 to coach. And it's usually a 1-on-1 ratio or a 2-on-1 ratio of minis to coaches. And it's mostly getting them comfortable with the water. The goal is that at the end of the season, they have a mini meet where they do events like half-length kickboard, where they start in the middle of the pool and they have to swim to the other side or kick to the other side.
So the minis, so we have little 4-year-olds doing, what's the half-length
So they get to
kickboard?
use a kickboard and just kick from the middle of the pool to the end of the pool.
Oh, how cute.
It's very cute.
I bet it is. And then what age do they make, how do they get promoted up to, do you remember, were you a mini?
Yes, I was for 3 years.
You were a mini for 3 years. And what did you do to get you promoted up to the big team?
Well, I remember actually what really made me want to was one year, like the last year that I was on the minis, I was swimming in the mini meet, which is when we do like the half-meter kickboard. And basically, I saw that my friend was timing me from the big team, and I wanted to be doing that next year, and I wanted to be timing. So I wanted to time like my sister next year. So.
Oh, how fun. So what do you have to do to be able to be on the big team? Do you have to swim?
You have to swim 25 meters of one of the 4 recognized strokes.
Oh, so on the minis, that's what you're training for to become part of the big team.
Yep.
I would have never made it, but we won't go into that. You know, I have a picture here that I want to show you. The history of the team is really quite a rich history. But there was a picture taken here, I think it may have been last year, but I love this because the kids are really cheering on. It looks like somebody just made a nice, or finished nicely at the other end of the pool or whatever. But I want you to look up in the top left corner. This woman is, her children are grown and they've gone on. She was an original, I believe it was original or very early swim team parent. I know her daughter was on the team. And look what she's doing. She is actually coming as an older resident just to watch the team swim. That is pretty awesome. You know, and I bet you all have no idea you know, what that's about and how much it means to them to be able to come back to the pool and watch you. You know, we could, again, this time goes by so quickly. We could talk about the team and tell stories for a long time. But I want to tell you, Olivia, that in 7 years, I think it'll be about 7 years, the team will be 50 years old. So you guys can start. You may have 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you might still be on the team. But pass the word on that this team needs to plan for a 50th birthday party in about 7 years from now. But I want to close with a picture of, you know, we have a lot of swimmers in the pool in Somerset. We have a lot of swimmers in town who never get to go to the pool except one time a year. And those are, and this is the picture,
Dog swim.
the dog swim. On the last day of the season, the dogs get to go in. And that is a whole nother story with some good pictures. Bess and Olivia, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Somerset Stories. And I want to thank our audience for joining us on Somerset Stories, where we're preserving digital windows into our special community for both the current and future generations. Thank you.